And a happy Thanksgiving to the both of us. I'd get you a fork, but as you can see, this one's made for your hands. Slow down there, Jumbo. Don't you know how to give thanks?
Surprise, motherfucker.
Look, we got a message from the fan on our fan zone.
What does it say?
Oh, Jake, this is bad. It says our show is too whimsical and not gritty and dark and real, like real gritty dark stuff is.
We both died at the end of last season.
Yeah, I guess you can't please everyone all the time. Oh well, back to giving damn thanks.
Well, we do have a lot to be thankful for. We didn't get killed by zombies, haunted dolls, or evil books last episode. Everything's coming up, Jake and Trev!
Yeah, and we have a hit show on Blip.tv.
You just got jammed.
Where our account has been shut down.
Oh no. Well, at least we still have our award-winning channel on YouTube.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Aw, Jake, President YouTube says we don't have enough cats on the channel. It's been shut down.
We'll film your cat all fucking day if that's what it takes.
It says it's too late.
Surprise, motherfucker.
It's over.
You just got jammed.
We just got Empire.
No!
Oh my god, 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 what do we do?
Okay. We got Empire. What do people do when they get Empired?
Well, it used to be that you had to wait 3 years to resolve a good empiring.
We don't have that long!
I know. Well, it's a good thing that most movies nowadays have been trying to resolve their empiring in one movie.
Then that's what we'll do! What else can we use as a reference? Like something, get some tricks from, for living in or dealing with a dark world.
I got it. Las Vegas just came out.
Welcome to Jake and Trev Review Everything.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Trev.
Uh-oh. Here comes Trevor.
Today's review is Thor, The Dark World.
Some believe that before the universe, there was nothing. They're wrong. There was darkness, and it has survived.
What's gonna happen?
I gave you my word. I would return for you. If we do nothing, they will destroy us.
Thor, your bravery will not ease your pain. Your world will be extinguished.
So, Trev, what did you think about Thor: The Dark World?
It's complicated. If this was a Facebook relationship, I'd say it's complicated. I enjoyed a great many things in this movie, despite the overall dark tone. I would say that there's definitely a lot of really kind of joyous moments, there's all kinds of Thor being tough and, having fun doing what he's doing. But that darkness keeps creeping back in.
I've got this completely under control.
Is that why everything's on fire?
I think the biggest problem is that there's so much good stuff here, and yet it's not satisfactorily explained.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Shut up!
It's better than Iron Man 3, but I hated Iron Man 3.
You experience things, and then they're over and you still can't explain them?
Easily I can say it's the best so far in Marvel's Phase 2, and I guess we'll have to see where it goes, but this is a solid improvement over Iron Man 3.
Gods, aliens, other dimensions, I'm just a man in a can.
What about you, Jake? What did you think of Thor: The Dark World?
I enjoyed the middle parts. It's the pieces of this puzzle are good. The action's good. They have the beats where beats should be. It's at acceptable levels of Marvel movies. There are so many Marvel movies before this that have set the benchmark.
The Avengers.
For how good it should be, and
Avengers
kind of topped everything. So it's very hard to reach it.
Avengers.
Although this is not
Avengers
level. I wouldn't even put this at like Iron Man 2 levels. I would put this below that. You're gonna see it anyways if you're interested in those movies, but
You have to. You're invested.
And as far as that's concerned, you'll be pleased because they do a lot of tying into the rest of the series. They do deal with some of the things that happened in the other movies that affect this movie.
I saw you on TV. You were in New York.
When we walked out of the theater, we both kind of looked at each other like, "What'd you think of the movie?" And we're both like, "I don't know. Give me a minute to think about it." I feel like when you walk out of a movie, you should be pretty considerably set on whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Whose side are you on, son?
Going forward, of course, we are going to be fully engaging the spoiler alert because we're going to be talking about a lot of things that happen in this movie. And if you don't want it spoiled, go watch the movie. Come on back here. We'll be waiting for you. And, check it out. So, without further ado, there it is. First up, of course, Thor. I really don't have very many complaints, or really any.
Yeah, he's not really that... He's Thor.
He's Thor. He's relatively simple. He's good at what he does, which is kick ass with a hammer and save the day. And, but they've shown some character growth from the previous film.
I was wrong. I was a fool.
He has grown as a character, and, he's not the callow youth he started out as.
I feel like he went through that story. He went through that character arc in the first movie, and then went into the Avengers, and then in this, you can tell he's definitely changed by everything. So they did a pretty good job of that.
Loki, the kind of other big principal that a lot of people are excited about.
Oh, he's a fan favorite. Everybody loves Tom Hiddleston as Loki. He's one of the big characters of the Marvel Universe, and I feel like part of the reason that he kind of fell flat in this for me was because he was mostly played for fan service. It feels like a lot of the things that he does or says are either excuses to have him in the movie and kind of kowtow to the audience.
Jane is still the same kind of blank slate, sort of paint yourself in here, ladies character that she was in the first movie.
Jane.
Sorry, I just needed to make sure you were real.
In the first one, it was a little awkward. I mean, they got the message across that they were both into each other. And she was absent in Avengers, kind of a throwaway line there. But then they do pick that up, like, even in the movie, there's a line like, "Why didn't you get a hold of me, Thor, while you were in New York?" And it's like, well, I was saving the world, sorry.
Odin as a character seems to have taken like an entire 180.
Oh, just flip. This was one of the things that pissed me off about the movie the most. Is he goes from being... And to be fair, he didn't get a whole lot of screen time in the first one because he was in Odin's sleep. But in this one, he is more active, but somehow less active.
Heimdall was back, still awesome. Idris Elba, totally cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Warriors 3 was kind of handled weird. Hogan and Fandral both have been recast, and it seems like whoever they cast as Hogan, they really weren't too sure about because they just get out of here.
He excuses himself from the movie pretty early on.
Yeah, you gotta keep moving forward. That's the whole point of things. And thank you now, I appreciate it.
And then Fandral is played now, instead of being Prince Charming from Once Upon a Time, now he's Chuck.
Yeah.
From Chuck.
Hi, my name is Chuck.
I'm sure Josh Dallas, who played Fandral before, is much more busy with his current show where he's leading man on, but on the other hand, it's these kind of recasts that always take you a little bit out of the story.
Like, that's not the same guy.
Look, it's me. I'm here to deal with it. Let's move on.
Lady Sif, same kind of thing, where she's there, and it seems like maybe that there was more that they were planning to do with her, particularly with a antagonism with Jane.
Yeah, there are a couple shots where Jane gets to Asgard with Thor, and she looks over, and there's a slow motion shot of Sif walking by, and they both kind of catch eyes. And you're thinking, oh, okay, there's going to be a rivalry between them for Thor's affection. There isn't.
Yeah, no, Lady Sif does not fight for Thor's affections at all.
That love gun does not go off.
And for some reason, Eric Selvig is crazy now.
Kind of post-traumatic stress or something.
Oh, well...
And it's played up for laughs.
Yeah, they do it for one line. It's like, oh, if you had a god inside your head, then you'd be crazy too.
I had Tom Hiddleston in my brain. We're having a lot of fun.
And finally, there are the villains. Malekith, the Accursed, the primary in this case. God, there's just nothing really that interesting about him.
Do you know what they call me in the ancient legends of the Dalek homeworld?
Perennial wet blanket Christopher Eccleston is back to suck all of the fun out of his scenes.
Doesn't it just burn when you face me?
I'm a dark elf. I want to plunge the universe into darkness.
Why? Because darkness is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm a dark elf. I was around before the universe. I hate the universe. I want it to go back to it.
I hate everything!
What have you done to me?
But he wasn't even emo. Like, that would have even been like, if he had even shown
he was not emotional. He was not emotional.
There's no emotion.
It was just so cold.
These films feel that they require one-dimensional, unmotivated evil.
They're different from you and me.
Yeah.
But they're so different that there's nothing relatable there. I mean, if you look at, like, Loki, even if he's doing totally villainous stuff, you can kind of get into his headspace and understand.
He does it out of emotion. He does it for revenge because he was spurned by his parents. Like,
Malekith wants to just destroy the universe because he wants to destroy the universe.
We could perhaps give Malekith some complexity.
There's a secondary villain also called Curse, who...
He's like the right-hand man of Malekith. He sacrifices himself in order to become badass. It's not even a sacrifice. I thought that in the movie, when he was transformed into Curse, that there would be a time limit on it. Like,
it would eventually just kill him out in the movie.
Well, yeah, like you're
in fact, they suggest that.
Yeah, you're going to be this juggernaut, but you are going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it never came up. There's no ticking clock or anything like that.
If you stop, you die.
Well, time for our mid-review storyline break.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And that's been canceled too.
You just got jammed.
We just got a message from our fan. It says we're getting there. That doesn't even make any sense. We haven't put anything out since the last episode.
That's weird. Like, maybe they're watching us right now?
Probably not.
It's probably not.
So, at the very beginning of the movie, we get a flashback to when Bor, Odin's father, is fighting Malekith some thousands of years ago.
Like 5,000 years ago.
Yeah. They are fighting over a force called the Ether. It's this red, misty stuff. You've probably seen it in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And Malekith wants to use it to destroy the universe and plunge it back into the darkness, since the Elven race, of which he is a member...
The Dark Elves.
The Dark Elves have been around since before the inception of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things... Obviously, Malekith gets beaten by Bor. Bor puts the Ether in a safe place, but almost immediately after that... Jane slips through a time-space loop and ends up where the Ether is, coincidentally.
What does that mean?
It means that I, like God, do not play with dice and do not believe in coincidence.
She's like goes through this the shortcut between realms, and then she just happens to find herself in like this secret underground storage facility where the Ether is being kept by the Asgardians completely unguarded.
Yeah, it's not. We don't really know where it is, but
it's not on Earth.
Right.
Is the suggestion?
Yeah. So why not just have it on Earth? You know, she could be working or something and then find it. It's not a big why, but it's also the way that she finds it is kind of like, that's really coincidental that she would find this, and also being from Earth, be the only person that personally knows an Asgardian. Yeah, a little tenuous.
Fancy seeing you here.
And Odin is the narrator in the opening story there. And at the end of the story, he says, "And so my father Bor killed my dad killed all of the night elves." And it's like, no, okay, but he didn't, because you could see, like, they're actually showing you, the audience, a bunch of night elves escaping.
You think you know more than my dad?
Why is there such a poor record of this supposedly hugely important battle, that, like, the most glorious and wonderful battle that Bor probably ever participated in? Why is there a poor record, and why is it written that all the elves are dead unless they were sure?
Show me the body. No body, no death.
There's also no record of the cloaking device, which comes into play later. Apparently, Heimdall, being the dude that can see everything, can't see through their cloaking device.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no record like, hey, if anybody gets a hold of this Dark Elf technology, or if the Dark Elves actually do come back or anything, this is how their stuff works, and this is how to counteract it.
Mm-hmm.
They never really...
It just comes across as making Asgardian historians look really sloppy.
Yeah, like we won, whatever, I don't care. Jane gets the ether. She runs into Thor. Thor says, "Oh shit, you're infected with something that we don't know what it is. I'll take you to Asgard." Odin is kind of pissed about this because she's a mortal and they're not supposed to be in Asgard or something. Again, he's being a grumpy old man.
You mean the lowlife, asswipe, egg sucker?
That's very out of character.
He seemed to have some affection for, like, the people of all the realms. I mean, he is the All-Father.
Yeah, he's supposed to give a shit.
Right, but he specifically doesn't give a shit about Jane.
Natalie Portman. She's beautiful and lovely, and
yeah, he's like, oh, she's gonna die in like 100 years. We live to be like a bajillion years old, so...
Who cares?
Who cares? Who gives a shit?
You must leave her, brother.
Then it turns out, she's got this power inside her, and then...
And it's lashing out and protecting her, so whenever somebody, like, tries to grab her and move her against her will, it just...
The Dark Elves show up, wreck Asgard, try to get her. They can't. The first problem with this is that Odin does not rock all the ass.
Right.
We don't really get a lot of Odin ass rocking in the first movie.
Right.
He shows up...
There was the implied one.
Yeah, where he was like, this is how powerful I am.
I'm on this fucking Schleppner, the six-legged fucking horse, and I got my goddamn spear, and I'm gonna fucking kill everything.
But I try to keep it as real as possible.
Nope.
Nothing like that.
Not a thing.
He's just... And to be frank, I feel like Anthony Hopkins is really phoning it in on this one. He does not seem to be interested in this movie at all. So instead of formulating a plan to attack Asgard after Malekith wakes up and realizes that somebody has the ether and it's not, stored away somewhere.
Right.
Instead of formulating a plan, they've been waiting all this time. He just storms the city. And Curse is a badass. The whole point of Curse is that he cannot be defeated by any weapons that anybody else besides the Dark Elves have.
Mm-hmm.
He's indestructible.
He's always been a real badass.
Yeah, they kind of do the Lord of the Rings thing with the Witch King.
Yeah, they
leader
pull
of Nazgul, where no man can kill me.
Yeah.
It's like, I am no man.
Yeah.
A woman killed you. That's great. See?
And then in this one, it's like, no weapon that they have can kill me. And then he gets killed by one of their own, again, stupid singularity grenades.
Right. Later on.
Later on.
Right.
But up until that point,
he's basically the Hulk. He's an indestructible engine of destruction.
Yeah, and more like the Juggernaut. I'd say he's like...
yeah, I'll give you that.
So they use him in... They fight the Asgardians on two fronts. They have the prisoners that are released, and then also the Dark Elves are coming in. And they... at one point, Malekith backs Frigga and Jane into a room. Frigga and Malekith throw down, and here's a big spoiler, so, we already said spoilers, but we'll give you another mini spoiler alert here. But, yeah, she totally dies. She bites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after putting up a really admirable fight.
Yeah, it was a sweet fight scene. She was using her illusion power to pretend that Jane was in the room. Why wouldn't Malekith know that it was an illusion of Jane if he has the follow your nose to the ether wherever it goes power?
He should have walked into the room and looked around and said,
nope, that's not her because she doesn't have the ether in her because I got the thing.
Right. Thor shows up, and then Odin shows up, and then suddenly Malekith remembers, oh wait, I don't want to fight the gods. And it's like, motherfucker, why did you go to Asgard? It's literally the home of the gods.
Yeah.
This was inevitable. The second you decided that you were going to invade Asgard, it was a fact that you were going to have to throw down with Thor and Balder and Odin and Heimdall and like everybody. Tyr's a badass, and it's like, what? What did you think was going to happen? Then they retreated back to the Dark Elf realm. And it's like, okay, so you're going to retreat because you need to get some breathing space and regroup and rethink what you're going to do. Why would you go back to the place that they'd expect to find you?
You must be truly desperate.
They don't have a plan, but even worse than that is that the Asgardians don't really have a plan either.
Right.
Odin's plan is, we'll lock Jane up here, where we know she is, and then they'll come back eventually.
They'll come back eventually, and then we'll take them on. So it's then that Odin and Thor switch places from where they were in the first movie, where now Odin kind of wants to deal with this all half-cocked, like, let's just wait for them to show up, and then we'll fight again.
We'll fight to the... He literally said...
We'll fight to the last drop.
Yeah, to the last Asgardian.
To their last drop of blood. And it's like, really? After all, like, the shit you went through trying to impress upon Thor the responsibility of being responsible for all the people of Asgard, you're just going to wait for the enemy to come back, and if they kill all of you, then that's just how it is?
For your arrogance and stupidity, you've opened these peaceful realms and innocent lives to the horror and desolation of war!
Thor comes up with a plan, or Thor and his cohorts come up with a plan, to get Jane to the Dark Elf as a last gamble.
Right.
To try to defeat the ether as it's being transported out of Jane, because obviously Thor wants Jane to not have the ether in her anymore. It's like killing her or some stupid shit.
It will eventually kill her. Right. Odin, in order to ensure that his plan's the way that everyone's going to go, he orders Heimdall to not let anyone use the Bifrost Bridge, and it's supposed to be closed down. So that's why Thor just can't take Jane and bring her to Svartalfheim and be done with it. So yeah, they remember there was that bit about Loki knowing all these other extra ways to get between realms that other people didn't know about. Heimdall has a part in the plan to break Loki out and for them to make their escape.
Yes.
And originally Heimdall says, like, I can't let you use the Bifrost because then I would be betraying Odin.
Yes.
Well, we're going to need you to help us do this jailbreak, Heimdall. Well, I can't do that, because then I would be betraying Odin.
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess that's the price I'm going to pay. And then it's like, nobody said, well, wait, Heimdall, if you're willing to betray Odin for the right reasons, how about you betray Odin and let us use the Bifrost Bridge for the right reasons?
Because he is my king, and I'm sworn to obey him.
They break Jane out. They get Loki. They steal one of the leftover Dark Elf ships. Mm-hmm. And they fly it out, and then that's part of the trickery, is that they bail out of the Dark Elf ship while everybody's pursuing it, and then get into a smaller ship, which they're going to take away from the Rainbow Bridge.
There's a whole lot of switcheroos.
In what way?
That way. You put gotcha on my face.
And probably the thing that literally everyone is expecting, and you should be, because they take several times to have somebody say to Loki, you better not betray Thor or I'll kill you.
You even think about betraying him.
And I'll kill you.
They get to the Dark Elf realm, and immediately Loki betrays Thor.
Just right out the gate. As soon as Thor takes his shackles off,
he's just like, whoop!
Oh, got a knife. Stab you.
Yeah. And cuts Thor's arm off.
And they have
which is empiring.
Loki's like, well, I'm no ally of Asgard, Malekith. I just want to watch the world burn, not like the Joker.
I'm beginning to dislike him as much as Batman.
Then Thor's like, haha, it was a trick, and throws the hammer at the ether.
Yeah, it turns out that Loki was using his deception powers to make it look like he had betrayed and stabbed Thor and then cut his hand off. But really, he never cut the hand off at all.
Oh God, not the gotcha dancers.
Why? Why do a fake-out betrayal?
Why pretend that Loki is going to side with them and give them Jane, and then Thor's like, haha, I'm not... They could have just started throwing down pretty much immediately.
That's a far more interesting dynamic.
Thor tries to destroy the ether, and like an idiot, And that's the
really,
problem with...
You're gonna destroy this ages-old
force. There wasn't a lot of information about the ether, but there was the whole bit about how Bor, who arguably should be at least as powerful as Odin, who is more powerful than Thor, didn't destroy the ether when he had the chance and instead decided to bury it. Why do you suppose that was, Thor?
Probably because he couldn't fucking destroy it.
You think you know more than my dad?
Curse gets run through with a sword by Loki, and he's not even fazed by it. And then he grabs Loki, spoiler, and he grabs Loki and pulls him onto the sword, apparently killing Loki. And then it's like, oh man, Curse killed Loki. But then Loki's like, haha, gotcha. And then it turns out he had to like pull the pin on a singularity grenade that was on Curse's belt, and then Curse gets killed by a singularity grenade.
By their own weapon.
By their weapon. Because remember...
I am no man.
Malekith still gets the ether, and then he goes to Earth, which is where the point of the convergence is, apparently.
Right, and now, supposedly, even though they're both still alive, Thor and Jane, there's no way for them to get out of Svartalfheim.
Right, even though Heimdall could probably see them.
Yes.
Because he can see everything.
Yes.
He could be like, oh shit, I gotta use the Bifrost Bridge and bring it back.
Yes.
Right.
But he can't. So, yeah, so they're like, shit, we're stuck here. And then they, again, what a coincidence, they find one of the portals from the beginning that was hanging out on Earth, and then they go to Earth.
Yeah, that's a good story.
Selvig, in the beginning of the movie, was telling everybody about the convergence. Convergence is going to happen. We have to set up these spikes, these scientific spikes, to try to neutralize it, to try to steady all of the weird bubbles and portals.
Yeah, it'll
gravity hiccups.
It'll fix all the problems.
Right. So at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, well, we can use this to make more problems.
And then we'll use it as some kind of distraction thing to kind of waylay them, because they are aware that there's only a limited amount of time that Malekith can actually pull off this destroy everything in one fell swoop maneuver. But why do the spikes work that way now? I thought that they were supposed to stabilize it, so you mean to tell me that now you've also figured out how you can use it to exploit the physics problems?
Yeah, so the elves are being shifted around from plane to plane. Thor and Malekith are fighting, and they're being shifted around from plane to plane, place to place.
They're constantly going through portal to this place and portal to this place, and they accidentally end up in one place. It was kind of an interesting way to have a fight scene, but the way they kept shifting between places it was really disorienting.
All right, and the other thing is that Thor defeats Malekith by using the spikes as spears to hit him on certain points of his body.
And then
Jane activates the thing and then transports pieces of his body, like his arm pops off and then ends up in the Dark Elf realm.
Portal here, portal there. Look at this thing go.
And so then he's standing there all Captain Torso. And
disarmed. Unarmed. And so how did it go from using them to transport whole people? Like, there's no, like, slice effect where there's a group of guys and then one of them's like, oh, my arms, or something. Like, they all just go through these portals. But then she's able to, in a split second, make it go from a large area to a really small area, like just his arm or just his legs or whatever. And that, I feel like they're trying to give Jane and Selvig some weight in the movie by having them have a hand in the defeat of Malekith.
But I'm here to tell you, we're not banging rocks together over here. We know how to make a quantum space hole.
Another big why over the whole climax is that we see the different realm portals opening up in the sky, and they're all converging. But wait a minute, if it's all the realms that are converging, wouldn't Asgard also be converging?
Yes.
So now there's an enormous portal to Asgard floating in the sky?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Odin, or any of the Asgardians at all, could have gone through the convergence point to help Thor fight?
Yes.
Everyone in Asgard should have been well aware of the stakes. I can forgive it for not saying, like, say, for example, Hogan's people all, like, deciding to mount up and go and try to help Thor, or people on other worlds, because maybe they didn't know.
But humanity would not face this threat alone.
But the Asgardians knew. And there was no reason that any of them would be like, well, I think Thor's got this. It's like, dude, literally everything is on the line. Get over there. Fucking help them.
Because he is my king, and I'm sworn to obey him.
So, the day is saved. Thor stops the universe from being destroyed with Jane's help and the magic Selvig spikes.
There's a lot of green screen and a lot of glossiness about it. It worked.
Yeah, and assumedly he's going back to Asgard to possibly get a spanking from Odin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice, rare and unique relationship to have with an actor where anything goes.
Because he totally betrayed him even though he did save the universe, and he goes back and Odin's like, that's cool. But, you know, you obviously showed that you know what to do in a situation, you saved everybody, do you still want to be the ruler of Asgard? And this is a big moment for Thor, because up until this point, Thor has basically been being groomed to become what Odin is. Mm-hmm. You know, the Allfather, the guy. And Thor's like, I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to go to college. I just want to backpack across the realms for like a year.
You're 30-something. You got no real future to speak of.
Odin's like, yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily like that because I've been grooming you to be the king, but if I were to be able to say something about it that was somewhat approving, I might say something like that I'm proud of who my son has become.
Yeah.
He says it, he like words it in such like a wishy-washy, like I'm not really saying it. And it's like, why?
I'm not mad, son. I'm disappointed.
But I'm still proud of you.
Thor, I am disappointed.
For once in your life, just take yourself seriously, all right? Your life is upside down. It's in shambles.
So that's Thor.
Yeah. So, final thoughts. You're gonna see it.
You're gonna see it, and you know what?
You'll
like
enjoy
I said,
parts of it.
You'll enjoy parts of it. There's a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah.
This is like, you made a salad. Or better yet, somebody else made a salad for you. And there's lots of good stuff in there. You see, they got the radicchios and the carrots and like the pine nuts. I didn't. And maybe these are all things that you really like, and you're going to dig in and you're going to be looking for those pieces that you like.
But you're not going to spear them all at once. And
you're going to be pissed because there's all this extra stuff in here that doesn't make sense to put in the salad.
Yeah.
Your special has now become not very special. Hey, look at me. You serve me shit like that, take your jacket and fuck off.
It's a passable movie. It's better than Iron Man 3.
Yeah, in my opinion, I would also agree better than Iron Man 3.
I do what I know.
That about wraps it up for Thor, The Dark World. I'm Trev.
And I'm Jake.
And thanks for watching.
Hey, we got our YouTube back! And our blimp! Everything's unexploded now! We're on Empire!
Yeah! Woohoo! Alright! Nice shot, kid! That was 1 in a million! Now let's get the hell out of here!
That'll teach them for disobeying me.
Well, now that that's over, we can get back to looking for the MacGuffins.
Don't you mean the MacGuffin stones?
Peanut butter disaster.
Now, back to controlling the outcome of other shows. Hello, Movie Doctor. Minority Report Reviews. Double! Triple!